This portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Students from more than 20 schools around the country were rewarded today for their stellar performances in the Junior Junkanoo Parades over the last 2 years. For 25 consecutive years, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture has partnered with the National Junkanoo Committee and Esso Standard Oil Limited to recognize winners of the preschool, junior and senior high divisions.
Culture Minister, the Honorable Dr. Daniel Johnson, says there is a new twist to the Junior Junkanoo Parade this year. He pointed out that not only will the Family Island participation improve, but the venue will change as well.
We're now going to see Junior Junkanoo take a quantum leap ahead. The format is going to change ever so slightly. You're going to have the kiddies, the young kids are going to come out earlier in the day, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. Perhaps we're going to move them to a Saturday when we have a fun, family-filled environment. It may not necessarily be downtown. We may do this in a cultural village surrounding the stadium arena. We're going to invite now more of the private schools to participate. We have 4 more schools who are in. We may get a few more schools from the Family of Islands. We saw last year #1 place, Spanish Wells, #2, Harbor Island, #3, South Andros. So the other islands are now on board, and you'll see a few more islands here this year. Abaco will be here this year. But we're going to see a new setting, a new setup.
Country manager for Esso Standard Oil Limited, Valentino Hanna, explained the impact the company has made on the country's #1 cultural expression for the last quarter of a decade.
Every year we look forward to being a part of Esso Junior Junkanoo. As you know, the 25th year was a very special celebration for us. The Make a Film in a Day program that we sponsored for the Bahamas International Film Festival, very successful. Leslie Vanderpool was wonderful in working with us, working with the various schools that took part in that effort. I think the documentary featured the Prime Minister and the shuffle. I mean, it was exciting to watch. We also produced for the 25th year a commemorative book called Bahamaland, right? And that was a tremendous effort.
The sustainable use of water being highlighted today, which is designated as World Tourism Day by the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Tourism Minister Obi Boscom, in a press statement, focused on the theme tourism and water protecting our shared future. He pointed out that tourism exit surveys from departing visitors revealed that more than half of our guests selected the Bahamas as a vacation destination of choice over other competing destinations. He added that it therefore makes good business sense that we develop and implement effective management plans to protect these assets that are responsible for attracting millions of visitors to our shores. Minister Wilchcombe also encourages Bahamians to use water resources sustainably to protect our common future.
After tendering his resignation as the second presiding bishop in the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship International last month, pastor of the Mount Tabor Church, Bishop Neil Ellis, announced on Thursday the formation of the Global United Fellowship. It's an international interdenominational body of spiritual leaders who intend to be more inclusive and not divisive. Bishop Ellis told reporters that his reasons for resignation came after some members of the group had what he termed intense opposition to non-American leadership, resulting in him pulling out of a race for leadership back in July during a fellowship in Kentucky. He believes the new fellowship will reap great international benefits.
When we announced the other assistant presiding bishops who are going to be working along with me in the top echelon of the fellowship will all be from different countries. And so there's a wonderful thing going on now. And what excites me, though, is in the midst of all of this, even though it's global, it's going to be headquartered here in the Bahamas. And we believe we have the support of the players here in the country. And that's why it's also significant that the launch is being held here in the Bahamas. I think Bahamians are going to immediately get a flavor of what GUF is about and the real power behind the international connections.
Now, Bishop Ellis also talked about some of the group's future assignments.
This is not going to just be talk for us. While we intend to open an office in America, we don't really intend at this point to open offices around the world. But we do intend to have global schools of prayer. We believe that around the world, Gulf should be represented through the prayer schools, because that's one of our major assignments, to resurrect the dying discipline of prayer. We believe we ought to teach people the discipline of prayer. So teach them to pray, teach them how to pray, teach them the power behind prayers, and teach them how to unite in prayer across the world. Because
well, still to come, we've got softball action highlights in ZNS Total Sports. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it. This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain. Minister of Financial Services Ryan Pinder applauded the Bahamas Financial Services Board and all participating firms for continuing to work with his ministry to share industry-related grievances and concerns with government. Those interventions, he says, spurs the development of new products and joint promotional activities. Minister Pinder believes the BFSB has distinguished itself locally and internationally as an advocate for the Bahamas' financial services industry, broad-based membership, and continual opportunities to grow the industry. The Securities Commission of the Bahamas joined 9 other regulators in Luxembourg last week to become a new signatory to the International Organization of Securities Commissions Multilateral Memorandum of Understanding. This agreement relates to consultation and cooperation between securities regulators and the exchange of information. The ceremony was held during the IOSCO's 30th annual conference. Commission Chairman Tonya Bastian Galanes hopes that a clear message is sent to the world of the quality and strength of the Bahamas' financial services regulatory regime. The IOSCO MMOU is the key global reference point for securities regulation. It now has 97 signatories out of its 125 members. And Reuters is reporting a huff and puff over a giant copper statue in the form of a pufferfish. It has raised a series of bizarre and extravagant targets of state investment. The statue is encased in 8,920 copper plates and built at a cost of around 70 million yuan or 11.4 million. The tower on the island of Yuzhong County hovers 15 stories above ground. That was your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain.